Thank God for this thing. My husband gave it to me. Some people think it's ridiculous. A deaf woman with an iPhone. But that's the ignorance. You know, text messaging was actually based on technology that the deaf people have been using for decades to use the phone. So there. Plus, with the iPhone, I could use email, which means I'm completely accessible at all times. Which is sometimes not a good thing. You should know though, that this little thing is a major concession for me. I don't like to fit in. I spent too much of my life trying too hard. The only thing worth fitting in is your jeans. That's what I tell my son. Told.
The hardest part of communication is hearing what isn't said. Peter Drucker. Elle, a middle-aged deaf woman, struggles through tragedy, realizing too late that she's become senseless, by Katherine Raul.
Some people wonder if it's rude to ask if I was born deaf. No, it's not. And no, I wasn't. I was born perfect. I liked the sound of my mother speaking, and I remember my father's laughter. But when I was 11 years old, I had an epic war with meningitis, and then, poof, I couldn't hear my mother singing, and my father stopped laughing. At first, I was excited. I was just sure that my other senses would improve. Like superpowers. I would be deaf girl with the power to smell more. Or something like that. Alas, I don't have heightened senses, and I never really felt all that super. I thank you. You're brave. Sitting here asking a deaf woman all these hard questions. I don't find a lot of people who ask. Just a lot to assume. Anyway, yes, I went to what you call a doorbell school. We call them hearing schools, by the way. But I was never very good in school. It wasn't because I wasn't smart. In fact, the words smart and Alec were frequently mentioned with my name. The problem was fitting in. People do really understand me on so many levels. And I didn't really understand that. So school was lonely. Until I met Terry. He was in my intro to college chemistry class, and the irony was never lost on us. At first, he smiled a lot, and then he would write notes to me. That's when we went on our first date, pens and notebooks in hand. Eventually, Terry learned sign language. His hands were slow and clumsy, but so was my heart. So it worked out. When we got married, Terry didn't understand what he was getting himself into. We went house shopping. We had to find a deaf-friendly house. We spent 8 months searching until we found this place. I think we will retire and die here. It's so much of who we are. And when Spencer was born, it really felt like the house was truly a hope. It wasn't supposed to happen. Statistically speaking. Deafness is almost always one generation thing. Spencer was going to be my loud, musical, adorable little boy. When we found out that he wasn't going to be like that, when we found out that he wasn't going to fit in, that's when I made the decision that I would never try to make Spencer into something that he wasn't. That's why I insisted against the cochlear implant. It's a device that gives a sense of sound to deaf people. I wouldn't even discuss it with Terry, would publicly adore the subject when it came up. This, of course, made Terry furious. He said to me, "You are thinking about our son. You are so concerned with your pride. You are thinking about the good it could do. You are being selfish." But I wouldn't listen, because it was about pride. It was about my son. He was going to be born perfect, not something that needs to be fixed. We argued about it for the last 4 months of my pregnancy. But when Spencer was finally born, the argument stopped. Because we were so in awe of that little man and his big brown eyes. We started him in hearing school because Terry wanted him to try it. He was labeled so many things those first couple of years. First, he was mute. Then he was hearing challenged. Then he was deaf. Then he was ear impaired, retarded, restored there a couple of times. And it was right about that I made the decision that we were moving him to the Clark School for the deaf. And for the next 6 years, Spencer loved school. He would come home with slang, sign language, and stories about his multitude of friends. And needless to say, I was proud that I had raised a son who was so comfortable and happy in the world. Spencer learned about the cochlear implant at school. He said that maybe for his high school graduation gift, we could sit down as a family and talk about the possibility. I was so mad at him for that. I felt betrayed. Terry told me that it wasn't my life, and I needed to let Spencer find his own way. You can imagine that I took that piece of advice. But when I was finally ready to talk about the subject, Spencer smiled and melted whatever resistance I had left. Spencer said that he would go to the library and bring his home information. On the way out the door, he made some smart aleck comment about how, in the future, if I wanted my own way, I needed to remember that the silent treatment doesn't work on the deaf. That was the last moment I had with my son alive. See, on the way home from the library, he must have been so excited to show us all of his research. He must have wanted to spread out his papers on the table and rattle off statistics and excitedly sign all the wonderful things he was going to do once he had the surgery. He must have been rushing to prove me how wrong I was, because if he wasn't, he would have been more careful. He would have waited for the crosswalk signal. He would have seen that truck coming. And what was a deaf boy doing at a blind intersection? Daring fate? Why did I have to be so proud? So selfish? When he was born, why did I say no? When he wanted it, why didn't I say yes? Why did I let him find his own way? Why didn't I listen? I could have done anything other than what I did, and he would have been fine. The worst part, I couldn't even hear the phone ringing. Terry's big, slow, empty hand had to tell me that my little man was gone forever. Text message. It's Terry. He says the funeral director has confirmed his meeting. Guess I better send out the message to people. Thank God for email. I don't know how I could say the words. Even if